Last night, first pitch banquet was at the Crown Plaza, LSU baseball, kind of a kickoff event, big fundraiser for the program. And I want to say this. I'd never been to the first pitch banquet before. I know they've had them at some different places, and they were trying to create as big an environment as possible. It was remarkable. There were 100+ tables in the Crown Plaza. They were all full. There were over 1,000 people at this banquet. And I'm trying not to be hyperbolic, but I actually believe this. I don't think there's another fan base in college baseball that could do what LSU did last night. They love their Aggies in College Station. The two Mississippi schools are on a run right here the last 2 years that we didn't think was ever going to happen. Ball and Walker up in Fayetteville is a sellout once it gets to be May and is one of the best postseason environments in the country. There are plenty of places in the Southeast that love their college baseball. I don't think there's one that's quite like LSU. To get over 1,000 people to pay $100, sometimes $500 a seat for a cold piece of chicken, some pasta, and an $8 beer, to hear the coach talk for 10 minutes and to see the players walk out and be introduced and to hear Ronnie Rance do an auction. But it just goes to show the commitment and the passion that Skip created in this town. And it's just woven in. Y'all know I'm eating up with it, but there are so many people that are too. And last night was eye-opening to see that many people on a Sunday night jam into a hotel ballroom for that event. And it was a huge success. Sold out, auction items flying. It was great. And Jay Johnson told a story last night that I had heard about, but I wasn't going to take it to air. But then he said it last night, so it's something that we can kind of talk about. It's nothing earth-shattering, but you realize that this baseball team, all the accolades that have been heaped on them. There was another poll that came out today that had them number one. Players ranked in their classes. Everybody has got this team ranked first in the country. Everybody. Everybody's got Cruz going first overall, and Skeens is a first-round pick, and it's different than it was last year. Here's year one under Jay Johnson. They brought in some transfers. They know we got Cruz and Morgan coming back. We'll see what they can do. This team's expected to dominate from the first pitch through Omaha. Now, if you've got a handle on the sport, you know that you can't do that. Oregon State came the closest, but that's in a Pac-12. It's not quite what you're dealing with down here. We know that Tennessee got tripped up last year. So it's hard to do, but that's the expectation. And as the story goes, and Jay told this story last night, he sat the team down when they came back right before school started last week. Said, okay, guys, what do y'all want to do? And to a man, and the guys that spoke last night in the panel, and we want to win the national championship. Okay, gotcha. So how do you do that? Well, it takes a lot. And he cited some specific examples from inside of LSU's program about teams that won national championships. He talked about Kurt Ainsworth, who was a national championship winner as a player, was a first-round draft choice, and was pitching in the World Series his second year in pro baseball, maybe third. Either way, there was about 5 years between Kurt Ainsworth literally redshirting and pitching in the World Series, because that's what it takes in LSU's program. Sometimes you have to wait your turn. Kurt Ainsworth did. There were a couple national championships while he was here, and then he won the World Series. Sometimes things don't go exactly the way you thought. DJ LeMahieu has been as good an average hitter as there has been in the American League over the last 5 years. And they told him in the middle of a season, hey, you're going to second. I know you're the shortstop, and you were the starting shortstop as a freshman, and you've been the shortstop here, and we're first in the country. You're going to second. That doesn't happen everywhere. He told that story that it kind of displaced Leon Landry because Schimpf went to the outfield some, but Leon Landry's time got curtailed a little bit. But he's the guy highest on the picture that we've all seen of that 09 dog pile. Didn't bother him. Just what do we got to do to win? On that same team, you had two guys who would go on to be big league players. Austin Nola and Mikey Matuk. They weren't in the starting lineup for 30 games. So, yeah, you're a hotshot freshman. You think you've been the best player on every field you've ever played on? Great. So were Matuk and Nola. And they proved it when they got to the big leagues. But it took a while. So it might take you a while. This team is going to have to accept some roles that aren't quite what they may have dreamt of because there's so much talent. There's so many guys that need at-bats. Those at-bats may come as a starter, so somebody else has got to come out of the lineup. Those at-bats may come because it's 9-0 in the third inning, and, hey, Trey Morgan, you need to sit because we need to get a look at Jared Jones. I'd like to see Ethan Fry hit. They got to play first. I know you were starting today, but you need to sit down. Oh, it's 9-1 in the fifth. Cruz, I need you to sit here. We got to get Paxton Klingon at bat. That may be what has to happen. And your numbers may take a little bit of a hit because of it. Because we've got to get guys an opportunity. We've got to create depth. We've got to develop the program. You think you're a first-round talent as a pitcher? We may need you to be a long relief guy because we got 3 pretty good weekend starters, and this guy's going to close. You got to do your job. And that's not an easy thing to convey to some people. But he's trying to cite specific examples inside the program, recognizable names of instances where it's worked here. And when things work here, you win championships. And that's been Jay's message. He's also talked about it last night, about dealing with failure. There's an expectation for all these guys, whether it's young players that are coming in and never played college baseball and just think, hey, I'm going to be the baddest dude out here, or whether it's just this team as a whole that's being told how good it is every single day. You're awesome. Number 1 in the country. My pick to win it all. Best team in the SEC. Well, my assumption, Mrs. Hunt's assumption, is that they probably are not going to win all 10 weekends in the league. That's my guess. Kentucky beat Tennessee 2 out of 3 last year. It's hard to win. How do you deal with that? What if you lose 4 games in a row? That happens over a 56-game schedule. How are they going to respond to that when all they've heard is how good they are? And this is not going to come out of nowhere. I think to an extent, Tennessee surprised some people. Yeah, they were in Omaha. They beat LSU in the Super a couple of years ago in Maneri's last year. And they returned some really good pieces from that team. Gilbert and some of those guys. They bring in Dolander. He becomes their ace. They got a couple of freshmen that were awesome, Beam. But they weren't unanimous number 1 in the country until they went to Oxford and swept Ole Miss by 1 million. So it kind of came out of nowhere. This is not going to come out of nowhere if LSU starts out 100 miles an hour because we all expect that to happen. So you've got time now to try to prep as best you can 18 to 22-year-old kids on dealing with success as well. Because over the course of a 56-game season, there are going to be some really good things and some bad things. Just got to do your best to prepare these kids, and I know that Jay is doing that. It was conveyed to me, and we heard it last night. It seems like they're all paddling in the same direction. We'll see when that first lineup card gets filled out, and some people are here and some people are there. Hey, thanks so much for watching the Hunt Palmer Show on YouTube. If you don't mind, throw us a like right below and hit the subscribe button. We'll see you next time.